How low self-esteem can affect your personal brand. Listen, woo, I've suffered. I have suffered with this myself, and low self-esteem can present itself in a myriad of different ways. But for me personally, it's been a case of just sometimes doubting if I'm good enough to actually put myself out there, or feeling like you need to be super done up before you can put yourself out there. Like, there's so many different ways, but self-esteem and self-confidence are actually two different things. Self-confidence is belief that you can do something, and I feel like I have that. I know I can do certain things, but it's the self-esteem where it's like, yeah, am I good enough? Am I worthy enough? Does my voice matter? Does my opinion and my perspective on things matter? And how do I see myself, you know? And I feel like, I mean, everyone goes through this, but women women go through this a lot. And so now we have Kylie Jenner, who has had to become a woman in front of the whole world. I can't even imagine what that's like. Honestly, big up to celebrity kids because they didn't choose that life at the end of the day. They were just thrust into it. And so we have Kylie Jenner. She's on the Kardashian show, the Kardashians. And yeah, she's just a young girl. And listen, the ugly phase or whatever people want to call it, like puberty, like for most people, it's really real. She was just a normal girl, but unfortunately, she was exposed to the comments of, the World Wide Web and how she looked and comparisons between her and her older sisters or yeah, people that have actually gone through the stage of puberty. And so she had this insecurity about how she looked. And I feel like what made her brand so powerful is that, like I said, a lot of women actually go through that phase, or maybe even not even a phase, a lifetime sometimes of having low self esteem and not being happy with the way they look. And so we see someone who is going through this and is essentially a bit more of a cold blooded person rather than a warm blooded person. And this came from a video I watched years ago by Shallon where she calls Kylie Jenner cold blooded, just like a reptile, which is why I have this comedian here. And then you also have Rihanna, who she says is warm blooded. And essentially, what that is the difference between someone whose sense of self worth is determined by themselves and is internal. So that's the warm blooded person. And then you also have the cold blooded person who unfortunately just naturally seems to set their sense of self-worth based on what others are saying around them. And so that's why they're cold-blooded. And so we see that with Kylie a lot with her journey just through adulthood and with the decisions that she's made. But essentially, with the lip kit, what was so powerful about this is that she was able to actually transform something that was a negative into a positive. And so, when we talk about the 7 feminine archetypes, which are broken down into a further 13, which was developed by Aisha K. Fames, you see someone who I would say probably fits into the gamine. And within the gamine, it's the ingenue. And what that essentially means is someone who has a strong sense of, youthfulness, playfulness, or mischievousness or rebelliousness. Essentially, they're very young at heart. And at the same time, what draws you to them is their ability to transform and go through different stages. Like we want to see the evolution, we want to see the growth. And what we had with the lip kit was a moment of revolution for the whole world to see. We saw Kylie take the negative comments about her lips and turn it into a multi-million-dollar brand. And that was powerful and that gave hope to people. And so that's why people bought the Kylie lip kits. It wasn't because there aren't any other lip kits in the world. It was the branding, and the branding is the story behind it. And that gave hope to millions of girls. And of course, there is the appeal of obviously being part of the Kardashian Jenner family and what that means. But essentially, why people gravitated towards her is because she was able to be vulnerable and share her story. And so that is a key aspect of the maiden. And so there's a dominant archetype, and then there's a oh, English has escaped me. There's a dominant archetype, and then there's a secondary archetype. And so within the maiden or the gamine, it's proposed that the lover archetype is the secondary archetype within the maiden and gamine. And I feel like, again, you get that sense of vulnerability from the ability to share your insecurities and share your transformation journey. And then the love archetype can be creative, but I don't know if she per se has the gift of creativity in that sense. And we see that a lot with her businesses, where I will go into it further, but where she's essentially stealing ideas from other people's brands. And if you had that creativity, you wouldn't really need to do that. But I'd say her strength comes in her ability to share and to connect and to show the journey of transformation so beautifully and wonderfully. But with the chameleon coming back into picture, I feel like if her love archetype was actually developed more, it would also mean you knew yourself better. And low self esteem to me also means not valuing yourself enough to actually spend the time to get to know yourself. What are your likes? What are your dislikes? What are your strengths? What are your values? When you prioritize the external world and you feed off of the energy off of the external world, you don't place any emphasis on yourself. And so I think that's what's been reflecting with her businesses. She's got so many things that don't really seem to align with her because she probably hasn't just given herself the importance and the time to really develop her sense of self. And so we also see that reflected in her Met Gala looks. And so I'm going to go back briefly. Every year, and of course, you're trying to fit the theme, but we see that it's almost as if she's always trying to be a character, even outside of the Met Gala. And people want to know the real you. People want authenticity. And that brings me to my next point. I believe the turning point for Kylie Jenner's brand power really came when essentially she lied. She lied to us. So she had this infamous Forbes cover, America's Women Billionaires, proclaiming she's a self made billionaire. And genuinely, I don't know if this is because like her other contemporaries were also making the cover, and so if you feel that need of getting external validation, it's like I need to prove that I'm also on the same level as my contemporaries, and I'm also doing the same things, and you know, I'm reaching that status or barometer of success, which is a billionaire for her. It's like, girl, you didn't have to do all that. You did not have to lie. So essentially, she had a deal with Coty. I'm sure everyone probably knows about this by now. And they overvalued the business, and some of the records and the accounts were doctored to make it seem like she had a $1 billion brand when essentially she didn't. And it would have been fine and dandy, you would have got away with it if it wasn't for these meddling kids. But eventually the truth came out and we realized, oh no, she doesn't have a $1 billion brand. And I do believe that was the start of the end for her. I say end figuratively because she's still in the limelight per se, and she has still launched many brands, but it was the end of her relevance and power. And I think I'm going to actually do a video on the life cycle of an it girl. Just yeah, stay tuned and also let me know if you're interested in that video. But yeah, it's coming. I don't know if I want to just focus on one person or just the scope of it girlism in general. But we see after that point a shift in the cultural attitude towards Kylie. She's no longer really setting the trends, and people are just criticizing her a lot more. And so now bring it forward to 2024, 2025. I believe in 2024, she launched like so many businesses. Some of them even missed my radar. So I'm just going to read this out for a second. It says Kylie Jenner has established a diverse portfolio of businesses, including Kylie Cosmetics, Kylie Baby. I didn't even know about Kylie Baby. Like that one skipped me. But yeah, Kai, which is the clothing brand, Sprinter vodka sodas. She also launched Kylie Skin and Kylie Swim. I know about Kylie Skin and Kylie Swim. Additionally, she has been involved in collaborations like Kylie X Belmont and Core X Kylie. And so what's happening here is that she's developing so many businesses, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Go and collect the coin, collect the bag. I believe in multi streams of income. But I think the issue is she hasn't spent enough time developing brand stories for each of these brands. And her biggest brand, the one that, led to her infamous Forbes cover, kind of just stopped being innovative. And that again comes from the fact that she hasn't developed enough of her love energy, which would give her the power to really get into her creative bag. Or she's just not delegating well. And like, I don't know who is in charge of product development. Girl, hit me up if you come across this video, because there's just not resonance, there isn't excitement, there isn't energy in the room. It just seems very lackluster and tired, honestly. And we want more. But like I said, if I was part of her branding team or product development, what I would really hone on what I would really hone in on, there we go, English is back, is the fact that people love to see your transformative journey. And she's also really good at capturing her pregnancy journeys. This is just from doing my research. When it comes to her YouTube channel, her stories or letters to her daughters and, a message to my son. Those videos are probably one of the highest performing videos on her channel, and so it really shows that people love to connect to her through that lens of when she's going through a transformative journey, bringing it back to what makes you attracted to others, and for her it being her maiden and gamine energy and the ability to transform. And like I said, I didn't even know Kylie Baby was actually a thing. But initially, when I was doing this video and formulating, like, what would I do to develop her brand? I was like, something to do with her kids, because that also is a part of her where she actually gets to be a human. I feel like she has made a career of almost caric- caricaturizing herself. I don't know if that's a term, but we're going to make it a term, okay? That's the power of English, it evolves. But yeah, she's made a caricature out of herself for so many years, but now we see her donning more of a natural look, natural makeup, taking out the fillers. And so I feel like the next step would be to kind of capitalize off of this and really focus on not doing the Kylie Baby skincare that she's doing, because again, she hasn't developed a story around it, but creating products that actually capture the essence of what we love about her, her ability to transform. And so if she had something like a Kylie Baby pregnancy journal, or Kylie Baby travel with like mommy and me travel, like that would be amazing. And the term that really got famous, the whole rise and shine, like I'm imagining rise and shine books and I don't know, rise and shine television series. Like, hello, you already have the connection of networks. I'm literally making these ideas off rip right now. Um, but yeah, a Rise and Shine book and TV show would be awesome. That would be amazing. And they could just like feature stories inspired by her travels with her kids. And then, like I said, you've got the pregnancy journals here. And the potential for this is vast. You could also go into Kylie Baby push chairs, Kylie Baby travel cots and travel kits for babies. Like, yeah, I just think that would be amazing. A lot of the comments were saying on YouTube videos, one thing you can't deny about Kylie is that she's a good mom. And so really just tapping into that part of you. And then you could also do a tell-all book of like, motherhood as a young woman, like how it felt. That would do wonders. She could do, I don't want to give it all away. I don't want to give it all away. But really just focus on the ability to capture memories. So yeah, just something along these lines would be amazing for her. And so, just to summarize, her connection and her brand power came from her ability to be vulnerable, and so she lost that once she decided to lie to her audience with that Forbes thing. She probably did that because she was looking again for a sense of validation from the external world and saying, "Hey, I've arrived. Look at me." When in actuality, if you haven't arrived, even though she had success, but if you haven't arrived yet to that level, there's no need to lie, because at the end of the day, inauthenticity pushes customers away. When you just accidentally rhyme. I get excited. Um, but other than that, I would also say her myriad of businesses have essentially flopped because she hasn't taken the time out to build a cohesive story that actually correlates with her personal brand. And if she hasn't figured out already, her personal brand lies in her ability to transform and to capture the essence and the beauty of transformative journeys. And so she should really focus in on that and create multiple streams around that, focus point. But yeah, I am Sarah Miele Rayon. You can find me on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. I love talking about people's personal brandings. I love guessing people's archetypes because I could be completely wrong, to be honest. But I feel like, I feel like I've got this in the bag. But yeah, if this sounds like you, maybe you're someone who hasn't actually spent the time to really get to know yourself, but you already have a presence and you'd like to capitalize off of it, please feel free to reach out to me. I would love to help you. Or if you have any other burning branding questions, hit your girl up. I'm here to help. And yeah, if you just enjoy watching these marketing videos, I also appreciate you because I love watching them as well. Thank you so much for watching. And like I said, it girlism. It might be a two-part series. Like, I don't know. But the life cycle of an it girl is definitely coming soon. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you watch all the videos and let me know what you want to see from me. And I will hear back from you soon. Bye.